The morning sun rose over the hills, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Dae-ho stood on the porch of his small wooden house, a cup of hot coffee in his scarred hands. He watched the lights spread across the valley below, where the settlement of New Haven sat quiet and distant. He preferred it that way. Distance meant safety. Distance meant peace. "Papa, Papa, come see what we found!" The voice of his youngest daughter, Yuna, broke through his thoughts. She was 8 years old, with bright eyes and a smile that could melt the coldest heart. Behind her came Hana, his older daughter at 10 years old. She was more careful, more thoughtful, but just as excited. "What is it this time?" Dae-ho asked, setting down his cup. His voice was rough, worn down by years of shouting orders and breathing toxic air on distant battlefields. "A nest! With blue eggs!" Yuna grabbed his hand and pulled him toward the back of their property. Hana followed, carrying a small notebook where she drew pictures of everything they discovered. Dae-ho let himself be pulled along. These moments were everything to him. After the war, after all the darkness he had seen and caused, his daughters were the only light left in his life. He had brought them here to this frontier world to escape, to hide, to forget. They reached the old tree at the edge of their land. Sure enough, tucked in the low branches was a nest with 3 bright blue eggs, each one the size of his fist. "They're beautiful," Hana whispered, already sketching in her notebook. "Can we watch them hatch?" Yuna asked, bouncing on her toes. "Maybe," Dae-ho said, "but we have to be careful. The mother bird might not come back if we disturb them too much." "We'll be quiet as mice," Yuna promised. Dae-ho smiled, a rare expression that softened the hard lines of his face. The scars on his left cheek pulled tight when he smiled. Burns from a plasma explosion during the Battle of Rigel Station. He had many scars, inside and out. They spent the morning doing lessons at the kitchen table. Dae-ho had been a soldier, not a teacher, but he did his best. Math, reading, science, history. He taught them everything he could remember from his own education, plus everything he had learned during 20 years of military service. He left out the dark parts, the killing, the screaming, the way whole cities could burn in seconds. "Papa, why don't we go to the school in town?" Hana asked during lunch. It was not the first time she had asked. "Because I can teach you better here," Dae-ho said, the same answer he always gave. "But the other kids?" Hana started. "You have each other," Dae-ho interrupted, his tone harder than he intended. He took a breath. "You have each other," he repeated, softer this time. "That's enough." Hana looked down at her plate. Yuna kicked her feet under the table, humming a song she had made up. Dae-ho felt the familiar weight of guilt pressed down on his chest. He knew he was isolating his daughters. He knew they needed friends, needed to be around other people. But every time he thought about taking them to town, his mind filled with images of danger. Strangers who might hurt them, authorities who might ask questions about his past, aliens who might... He pushed the thoughts away. After lunch, he let the girls play outside while he worked on repairing the fence. The wood was old and some posts had started to rot. He pulled them out one by one, driving new posts deep into the ground. Physical work helped quiet his mind. "Papa, someone's coming," Yuna's voice carried across the yard. Dae-ho's body tensed immediately. His hand moved automatically to his hip where he used to carry a weapon. There was nothing there now. He had left that life behind. But the instincts remained. He walked quickly to where his daughters stood by the front gate. A small vehicle was coming up the dirt road, leaving a trail of dust behind it. "Inside," Dae-ho said quietly. "But Papa," Yuna began. "Inside, now." His voice left no room for argument. The girls ran into the house. Dae-ho stayed at the gate, his arms crossed, his face expressionless. The vehicle stopped a few meters away. A man stepped out, middle-aged, with gray hair and a friendly smile. "Good afternoon. My name is Wan Shik. I'm from the Settlement Council. The man extended his hand. Daeho did not take it. What do you want? Wanshik lowered his hand, still smiling. Just checking on the outlying homesteads, making sure everyone has what they need. The supply ship came in last week. If you need anything, we're fine, Daeho said. Of course, of course. Wanshik glanced at the house. I heard you have 2 daughters. The school in town would love to have them. We have a wonderful teacher, Miss Bo-Ra. They're educated here, Daeho said. I understand, but children need socialization. They need friends their own age. Wanshik's smile was kind but persistent. Thank you for your concern. We're fine. Daeho turned to go back to his house. Mr. Daeho, Wanshik called after him. We're a community here. We look after each other. If you ever need help or if you just want to talk, we won't, Daeho said without turning around. He walked back to his house and closed the door firmly behind him. Inside, Hana and Yuna were peeking through the window. Who was that? Yuna asked. No one important, Daeho said. Just someone from town. He seemed nice, Hana said carefully. Daeho did not respond. He went to the kitchen and started preparing dinner early, needing something to do with his hands. That evening, after the girls were in bed, Daeho sat on the porch again. The 2 moons of the planet were rising, casting silver light across the valley. He could see lights from the settlement, small and distant. Up here on his hill, he felt safe, contained, in control. But he also felt the loneliness creeping in around the edges. Not for himself. He deserved the isolation. But for his daughters. They deserved better than a broken father hiding in the hills. He thought about the war, as he did every night. The things he had done under orders. The aliens he had killed, many of them civilians. He told himself it had been war, that he had been following orders, that everyone had done terrible things. But the excuses felt hollow. A sound from inside the house made him stand. Yuna was crying. He went to her room and found her sitting up in bed, tears on her cheeks. Bad dream? He asked gently. She nodded and reached for him. He sat on the bed and held her, this small, precious life that depended on him completely. It's okay, he whispered. Papa's here. Nothing bad will happen, I promise. It was a promise he meant to keep, no matter what it cost him. He would protect his daughters from the universe. He would protect them from his past. He would protect them from everything, even if it meant keeping them locked away from the world. He did not know that his carefully built walls were about to crumble. He did not know that his daughters, curious and kind, would soon make a discovery that would change everything. He did not know that isolation, no matter how well-intentioned, could not last forever. All he knew was this moment, holding his daughter, keeping her safe from nightmares. For now, that was enough. 3 days after the visit from Wanshik, Hana made a decision. She loved her father, but she also knew there was a whole world beyond their small house on the hill. She wanted to see it. She wanted to explore. Let's go to the old ruins, she whispered to Yuna during breakfast. Yuna's eyes went wide. Papa said never to go there. He said it's dangerous. Papa says everything is dangerous, Hana replied. We'll be careful. We'll just look around and come back before he notices. Their father was outside working on the water pump. They could hear him muttering and clanging tools. He would be busy for hours. Okay, Yuna agreed, excitement overcoming her fear. But just for a little while. They packed a small bag with water and snacks, then slipped out the back door. The ruins were about 2 kilometers away at the base of the eastern hills. Before humans came to this planet, another species had lived here. They had left behind strange buildings made of a material that looked like stone, but felt warm to the touch. The girls had seen the ruins from a distance many times. Their father had pointed them out as a warning, not an invitation. But Hana was curious by nature, and Yuna followed wherever her sister led. The walk took them through tall grass and scattered trees. Strange insects buzzed around colorful flowers. Above them, birds with 4 wings called out in musical notes. This planet was beautiful, even if their father seemed determined not to notice. When they reached the ruins, both girls stopped and stared. Up close, the structures were even more impressive. Towers reached toward the sky, covered in symbols neither girl could read. Archways led into darkness. Everything hummed with a faint energy that made their skin tingle. "It feels weird," Yuna said, holding her sister's hand tightly. "It feels amazing," Hana breathed. They walked slowly through the ruins, careful not to touch anything. The buildings seemed old, but not damaged. It was as if the previous inhabitants had simply walked away one day and never returned. That was when they heard it. A sound like wind moving through chimes, but also like a voice. It was coming from one of the larger buildings, a structure that looked like a temple or palace. "Did you hear that?" Yuna whispered. Hana nodded. She knew they should turn back. This was exactly the kind of danger their father warned them about. But her curiosity was stronger than her fear. They approached the building carefully. The entrance was a large archway without any door. Inside, the light was dim, but not dark. The humming energy was stronger here, making Hana's teeth vibrate. The sound came again, clearer this time. It was definitely a voice, speaking words they could not understand, and it sounded like someone in pain. "Hello?" Hana called out. Her voice echoed through the space. The sound stopped. Then, from deeper inside the building, a faint light began to glow. It was blue-white, like starlight. "We should go," Yuna said, pulling on her sister's arm. But Hana was already moving forward. She followed the light through corridors and chambers, with Yuna reluctantly trailing behind. The light grew brighter, and the humming grew stronger. They entered a large circular room. At the center, lying on the floor, was something that made both girls gasp. It was a woman. At least, it looked like a woman. But she was like no human they had ever seen. Her skin shimmered with scales that reflected rainbow colors in the dim light. From her back extended 2 large wings, translucent and glowing with that same blue-white light. Her face was beautiful, but alien, with large eyes that held depths like deep space. She was wearing clothing made of material that seemed to shift and flow like water. The woman looked at them with those enormous eyes. She tried to speak, but the words were in a language the girls did not know. Then she tried to move, and they saw why she had been making sounds of pain. One of her wings was damaged, torn and bleeding a silver liquid that pooled on the floor beneath her. "She's hurt," Yuna whispered, tears forming in her eyes. The woman seemed to understand. She made a soft sound and lowered her head, as if asking for help. "We have to help her," Hana said. "But Papa," Yuna began. "Papa doesn't need to know. Not yet." Hana approached the woman slowly, holding out her hands to show she meant no harm. "We want to help you. Do you understand?" The woman's eyes focused on Hana. She nodded slowly, then pointed to her wing. She spoke again, and this time, as she spoke, something strange happened. The air around her shimmered, and suddenly the girls could understand her words. "Please," the woman said, her voice like music. "I am wounded. I crashed here 3 days ago. My ship is destroyed. I need help to heal." "What's your name?" Hana asked. "I am Kira of the Valari people." She tried to sit up but collapsed back with a sound of pain. "I'm Hana, and this is my sister Yuna. We live near here with our father." At the mention of their father, Kira's expression changed. Fear flashed in her eyes. "Human?" "Yes," Hana said. Kira closed her eyes. "Then I am dead. Humans kill my kind. Your war reached even us, though we wanted no part of it. Our father wouldn't, Hana started, then stopped. She thought about how her father reacted to strangers, to anything different or unexpected. She thought about the weapons he kept locked in a cabinet, the way he tensed when anyone approached their home. "He's not like that anymore," she said, though she was not entirely sure it was true. "Please," Kira said again. "If you cannot help me, at least bring me water. I am so thirsty." Yuna immediately opened their bag and pulled out a water bottle. She approached carefully and helped Kira drink. The alien woman drank deeply, gratefully. "Thank you, small one," Kira said to Yuna. "You have a kind heart." "What can we do to help your wing?" Hana asked. Kira looked at the damaged wing. "There is a plant that grows on this world. It has purple leaves with silver veins. If you could find it and bring it to me, I could make medicine." "I know that plant," Yuna said excitedly. "It grows near our house. Papa said not to touch it because it might be poisonous." "To humans, perhaps," Kira said, "but to my people, it is healing." The girls looked at each other. They were already in trouble for coming to the ruins. What was a little more trouble if it meant saving a life? "We'll get it," Hana decided. "But we have to go now before our father notices we're gone. We'll come back tomorrow with the plant and more food and water." "You would do this?" Kira asked. "Even though your people and mine are enemies?" "You're not our enemy," Yuna said simply. "You're hurt and you need help. That's all that matters." Kira's eyes filled with silver tears. "The universe would be a better place if everyone thought like you, little ones. Yes, please come back. I will wait here. I have nowhere else to go." The girls left their bag with Kira, keeping only one water bottle for the walk home. As they hurried back across the grasslands, Hana's mind raced. They had just made friends with an alien, a beautiful, wounded alien that their father would probably see as a threat. "Hana?" Yuna asked as they walked. "What if Papa finds out?" "Then we'll deal with it," Hana said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. "But for now, this is our secret. Okay?" "Okay," Yuna agreed. They made it back to the house just as their father finished with the water pump. He looked at them suspiciously. "Where have you been?" "Just walking around our property," Hana said. It was not exactly a lie. The ruins were on what used to be their property before the boundaries had been redrawn. Daeho studied his daughters. They looked flushed and excited, but not hurt or scared. He decided not to push the issue. "Stay close to the house," he said. "I don't like you wandering too far." "Yes, Papa," both girls said together. That night, lying in their shared room, Hana and Yuna whispered about Kira, about her wings, her voice, her beautiful, strange face. They planned how to collect the purple plant without their father seeing. They wondered what other secrets the universe held. Neither of them could sleep, too excited by their discovery. They had made a friend, a real friend, even if she was not human. Outside their window, the two moons painted the world in silver, and in the ruins to the east, Kira lay in the darkness, hoping the small humans would return, hoping she had not made a terrible mistake by trusting them. The three of them, human and alien, were now connected by a secret that would change all their lives. For 5 days, Hana and Yuna managed to keep their secret. They collected the purple plants with silver veins, sneaking them into their pockets when their father was not looking. They saved portions of their meals to bring to Kira. They made excuses to go outside, to explore, to wander just a little too far. Daeho noticed something was different. His daughters whispered more. They smiled at each other with secret knowledge. They were less interested in their lessons and more interested in going outside. But when he asked them what was going on, they just said they were playing games. He told himself it was normal. Children had secrets. Children had imaginations. He should be happy they were content, even isolated as they were. But his instincts, honed by years of combat, told him something was wrong. On the 6th day, he followed them. He waited until they thought he was busy repairing the solar panels on the roof. Then he climbed down quietly and tracked them through the grass. His daughters were not trained in stealth. They left an obvious trail, broken grass and small footprints in the soft earth. When he saw they were heading toward the ruins, his blood ran cold. He had forbidden them from going there. The ruins were unknown, potentially dangerous. They could contain old technology, unstable structures, or worse. He moved faster, his hand instinctively reaching for the weapon that was not there. He had left all that behind, but now he wished he had something, anything, to protect his daughters from whatever threat they were walking into. He reached the ruins just as his daughters disappeared into the large, temple-like structure. He followed, his heart pounding. The humming energy of the place set his nerves on edge. This was wrong. Everything about this was wrong. He heard voices ahead, his daughters, talking to someone, talking to something. Deho moved through the corridors, following the sound. He entered the circular room and stopped dead. His daughters were sitting on the floor next to an alien, a Valari. All the blood in his body seemed to freeze. He knew that species. He had fought against them. He had killed them. The Valari had been allies of the Kresh Empire, the enemy humanity had been fighting for 20 years. They were dangerous, manipulative, and deadly. And one was sitting next to his daughters. "Get away from them!" Deho roared. Everything happened at once. Hana and Yuna jumped to their feet, startled. Kira tried to stand, but her damaged wing made her stumble. And Deho charged forward, grabbing his daughters and pulling them behind him. "Papa, no!" Hana shouted. "She's our friend!" "That thing is not your friend," Deho said, his voice hard and cold. He stared at Kira, seeing not a wounded refugee but an enemy soldier. "Stay behind me." Kira had managed to stand. She held her hands out, showing she was unarmed. "Please," she said. "I mean no harm. Your daughters have been helping me. They saved my life." "I know what you are," Deho said. "I know what your kind did during the war. How many humans died because of Valari intelligence reports? How many colonies were destroyed?" "Papa, listen." Yuna tried to speak, but Deho raised a hand to silence her. "We did not want that war," Kira said, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "My people were forced to choose sides. The Kresh Empire threatened to destroy our home world if we did not help them. We had no choice." "There's always a choice," Deho said bitterly. "Yes," Kira agreed quietly. "Just as you had a choice about what you did during the war." Those words hit Deho like a physical blow. How did she know? What did she know about him? "I can see it in your eyes," Kira continued. "You carry the weight of terrible things. So do I. So do all who survived that war. But your daughters do not carry that weight. They see me not as an enemy, but as someone who needs help. They are wiser than both of us." "She's nice, Papa," Yuna said from behind him. "She tells us stories about the stars. She's teaching us about different worlds." "She's been hurt for days, and we've been helping her," Hana added. "Her wing is almost healed. Look." Despite himself, Deho looked. Kira's wing, which had been torn and bleeding when he first saw it, was now mostly repaired. The membrane was still scarred, but functional. His daughters had done that. They had saved her life. "The war is over," Kira said softly. "It ended badly for everyone. My people are scattered now. The Empire abandoned us when they lost. We are refugees, hunted by those who blame us for the Empire's crimes. I crashed here while fleeing from bounty hunters. Your daughters found me and showed me kindness I did not deserve and did not expect." Deho's hands were shaking. His mind was full of memories. Valari ships bombing human colonies, Valari scouts leading enemy forces to civilian targets, Valari prisoners who spit at their captors and cursed humanity with their dying breaths. But he also remembered the things he had done. The Kresh civilians he had killed because they might have been soldiers. The orbital bombardment of a city because intelligence said it housed a military base. The screams, the fire, the smell. "Please," Hannah said, coming around to face her father. "She's not what you think. She's alone and scared, just like us." "Just like us?" Deho repeated. "Yes," Hannah said firmly. "We're hiding here because you're scared of the world. She's hiding here because the world is hunting her. You're the same." The simple truth of his daughter's words broke something inside Deho. She was right. He had been hiding, running from his past, just like Kira was running from hers. He looked at the Valari woman again, really looked at her. She was thin, clearly malnourished. Her clothing was torn and patched. Her wings, even healing, bore scars that would never fully fade. She was not a soldier anymore. She was a survivor, just like him. "What is your name?" he asked, his voice less harsh. "Kira," she replied. "Deho," he said. Then, with great effort, "I apologize for my reaction. My daughters are everything to me. When I saw them with a stranger, with an alien, You reacted as any father would," Kira said. "I understand. I do not blame you." There was a long silence. Hannah and Yuna watched their father, hardly daring to breathe. This was the moment everything would be decided. "Tell me about the bounty hunters," Deho finally said. Kira explained. After the war, many species blamed the Valari for their cooperation with the Empire. Bounty hunters had been hired to find and capture Valari refugees. Some were brought to trial, others simply disappeared. Kira had been running for months, hopping from world to world, until her small ship had been damaged by a hunter's weapon. She had crashed here, hoping the remote planet would be safe. "How long until your ship can fly again?" Deho asked. "It cannot," Kira said sadly. "It was destroyed in the crash. I have been trying to think of a way to leave this world, but I have no money, no resources, nothing." Deho thought for a moment. His military training was coming back, analyzing the situation tactically. A wounded alien on a human colony world. If someone found her, there would be trouble. Questions. Investigations. His own past might be examined. But more than that, he looked at his daughters. They had made a friend. For the first time since coming to this world, they had found something that made them truly happy. Could he take that away from them because of his own prejudices? "You cannot stay here in the ruins," he said finally. "It's not safe. The weather is turning colder, and there are animals that hunt at night." Kira's eyes widened. "Are you suggesting—" "You can stay with us," Deho said, the words feeling strange in his mouth. "At least until you figure out your next move. But," he added firmly, "you stay hidden. No one from the settlement can know you are there. And if you do anything, anything at all, to threaten my daughters—" "I would die before harming them," Kira said. "They gave me back my life. I owe them everything." Hannah and Yuna broke into huge smiles. They hugged their father, then each other, then, more carefully, they hugged Kira. "This is wonderful," Yuna exclaimed. "Now we can all be together." Deho was not sure it was wonderful. He was not sure it was even a good idea. But as he watched his daughter's joy, he felt something he had not felt in years, a sense that maybe, just maybe, his small broken family was starting to heal. "Can you walk?" he asked Kira. She tested her legs. "Yes, my wing is still weak, but I can walk." "Then let us go before someone comes looking for us." They left the ruins together, an unlikely group. A veteran haunted by his past, two young girls full of hope, and an alien woman who had lost everything. They walked through the tall grass as the sun climbed higher in the sky. Behind them, the ruins stood silent, keeping their secrets. Ahead of them, the small house on the hill waited, about to become a home for one more lost soul. 2 weeks passed, 2 weeks of strange, unexpected peace. Kira stayed in the spare room, the one Deho had been using for storage. They cleared it out together, and Hana and Yuna helped make it comfortable. They brought in blankets, a lamp, and pictures they had drawn of flowers and stars. During the day, Kira taught the girls things their father could not. She told them about the vast universe beyond their small planet. She taught them songs in the Valari language, which sounded like wind moving through crystals. She showed them how to read the stars and predict weather patterns by watching how light reflected off her wings. Daiho watched these lessons from a distance at first. He was still not comfortable with Kira's presence. Every time he saw her wings, he remembered Valari scouts in the war. Every time she spoke in her musical language, he remembered interrogating Valari prisoners. But slowly, against his will, he began to see her differently. She was patient with his daughters. She was grateful for every small kindness. She helped with chores without being asked. And most importantly, she made his daughters laugh in a way they had not laughed in years. One evening, after the girls had gone to bed, Daiho and Kira sat on the porch together. It had become a strange routine, these quiet moments after dark. "Your daughters are remarkable," Kira said. "They have such open hearts." "They get that from their mother," Daiho replied. She was a good person. Better than me." "What happened to her?" Kira asked gently. "Sickness, 3 years ago. The colony did not have proper medical facilities yet." Daiho's voice was flat, but pain lived behind the words. "I could survive a war, but I could not save my own wife from a simple disease. I am sorry." They sat in silence for a while. Then Daiho asked, "What about you? Do you have family?" Kira's wings shifted, a sign of sadness. "I had a mate. He died during the evacuation of our homeworld. The ships were overloaded. There was a malfunction. Many died." She paused. "We were going to have children, but that dream died with him." "I am sorry, too," Daiho said. "We are two broken people, are we not?" Kira said with a sad smile. "Hiding from the universe." "Maybe," Daiho admitted. "But maybe that is changing." It was changing. Daiho could feel it. Having Kira in the house was forcing him to be less isolated, less afraid. His daughters were happier, and he, against all his expectations, was beginning to feel something other than guilt and fear. But peace never lasts forever. On the 15th day, everything changed. Daiho was in town, something he rarely did. They needed supplies, and he could not put it off any longer. He left Kira hiding in the house with strict instructions to stay out of sight. Hana and Yuna promised to be careful. He was loading supplies into his vehicle when he heard people talking nearby. 2 men, both wearing the kind of clothes that marked them as hunters or mercenaries. "The tracker signal was definitely from this planet," one man said. "A Valari ship crashed here about 3 weeks ago." Daiho froze, pretending to adjust his bags while listening. "That is a lot of forest to search," the second man said. "The Valari could be anywhere." "The bounty is 50,000 credits," the first man replied. "For that money, I will search every tree if I have to. Besides, Valari cannot survive long without their special food. It will have to come into town eventually, or it will starve." "If it is not dead already," the second man said with a laugh. They walked away, still talking about their plans to search the wilderness. Daiho's heart pounded. He finished loading his supplies quickly and drove back to his house faster than he should have. When he arrived, he found Kira helping the girls with their math lessons. They all looked up as he burst through the door. "We have a problem," he said. He explained what he had heard. As he spoke, the color drained from Kira's face. Her wings folded tight against her back, a defensive posture. "I will leave," she said immediately. "I cannot put your family in danger. I will go into the wilderness, try to survive until—" "Until what?" Daiho interrupted. "Until they find you? Until you starve? No. That is not a solution." "Then what do you suggest?" Kira asked. "I cannot hide here forever," If they search systematically, they will find your house eventually. Daeho paced the room, his military mind working through the problem. 2 hunters, maybe more. They would be armed, they would be experienced, and they would be motivated by a significant bounty. "Papa?" Hana's voice was small. "Can you protect her?" He looked at his daughter. Her eyes were full of trust, absolute belief that her father could fix anything. It was a look he did not deserve. "I do not know," he admitted. "You were a soldier," Yuna said. "You know how to fight." "I was," Daeho agreed. "But I am not anymore. I left that life behind." "Sometimes the old life finds us anyway," Kira said quietly. "Whether we want it to or not." Daeho knew she was right. He had been running from his past, but it seemed the universe was not done with him yet. He thought about the weapons locked in the cabinet. He had promised himself he would never use them again. But that was before his daughters had befriended an alien. Before he had started to see that alien as part of his household. Before he had something worth fighting for again. "How many days before they start searching the outlying areas?" Kira asked. "They will start from town and work outward," Daeho said, falling into tactical thinking. "Maybe 3 days. Maybe 4. Then we have time to prepare," Kira said. "Prepare for what?" "To defend," Kira replied. She stood, and her wings spread slightly. "I am not helpless, Daeho. My people may not be warriors, but we know how to protect ourselves. And I have knowledge that could be valuable." "What kind of knowledge?" "I was a strategic analyst during the war," Kira said. "I know tactics, defense patterns, how hunters think, and I know this terrain now. I have been studying it from your porch every evening." Daeho looked at her with new understanding. She had not been relaxing on the porch. She had been doing reconnaissance, just as he would have done in her position. "You think we can hold them off?" he asked. "I think 2 poorly prepared hunters looking for an easy bounty will not expect resistance," Kira said, "especially not from a human helping a Valari. If we prepare properly, we can discourage them. Make them decide the bounty is not worth the trouble." Daeho felt something stir inside him, something he had not felt in years. Purpose, direction, a mission. "The girls," he said. "I will not put them in danger." "There is a family in town," Kira said. "The man who came to visit Wanshik. Would he shelter your daughters for a few days?" Daeho thought about it. Wanshik had seemed kind. He had offered help. And keeping the girls away from the house during a potential fight was the smart choice. "I will take them to town tomorrow," he decided. "Tell Wanshik there is a dangerous animal near our property and I need to deal with it. He will keep them safe." "I don't want to go," Hana said. "We want to help." "You will help by being safe," Daeho said firmly. "This is not a discussion." That night, Daeho unlocked the cabinet he had not opened in 3 years. Inside were weapons he had taken with him when he left the military: a plasma rifle, a hand cannon, ammunition, body armor. Equipment for a life he had sworn to leave behind. Kira stood in the doorway watching him. "You do not have to do this," she said. "You do not owe me anything." "You are wrong," Daeho said, checking the charge on the rifle. "I owe you everything. You gave me back my daughters. You gave them joy and wonder and friendship. You reminded me that not everything is about fear and survival." "I gave them those things?" Kira said softly. "I thought they gave them to me." Daeho smiled, a real smile. "Maybe we gave them to each other." He spent the night preparing. He set up sensors around the property. He planned firing positions and fallback points. He checked and rechecked his weapons. It felt strange doing these things again, but it also felt right in a way he had not expected. Kira helped, offering suggestions based on her knowledge of hunter tactics. They worked well together, each compensating for the other's weaknesses. He knew human weapons and combat. She knew how their enemies would think and move. As dawn approached, Daeho realized something. For the first time since the war ended, he was not fighting because he had been ordered to. He was not fighting out of anger or hate. He was fighting to protect something precious. His daughters, his home, his friend. Maybe, he thought, there were things worth fighting for after all. The next morning, he took Hana and Yuna to town. They did not want to go, but they obeyed. Wonshik agreed to watch them, asking no questions about the rifle Daeho carried in his vehicle. As he drove back to his house, Daeho felt calm, focused, ready. The hunters were coming. But they would find more than they expected. They would find a veteran who had rediscovered his purpose. And they would find a Valari woman who had nothing left to lose. Together, they would show the universe that some things were worth defending, some friendships were worth fighting for, and some homes were worth protecting, no matter the cost. The hunters came on the third day, just as Daeho had predicted. He saw them on the sensors first, two figures moving through the forest with the confidence of men who thought they were chasing prey that could not fight back. They wore light armor and carried modern weapons. Professional, but not military grade. They expected an easy capture. They were wrong. Daeho watched from his position behind the barn, his rifle ready. Kira was inside the house, coordinating through a small communicator they had rigged up. Her aerial view from the upper window gave them an advantage the hunters did not expect. "They are splitting up," Kira's voice came through the device. "One is moving toward the east side, the other is approaching the front door." "Understood," Daeho replied. "Remember the plan. We discourage, not kill, unless they give us no choice." "I understand." The hunter approaching the front door was tall, with scars on his face that spoke of many fights. He carried a stunner weapon, designed to capture targets alive. He clearly expected to find a helpless Valari hiding in fear. He kicked open the door without warning. "Come out, alien! The bounty says alive, but it does not say undamaged. Make this easy on yourself." No response came from inside the house. The hunter stepped through the doorway. Immediately, a net dropped from the ceiling, tangling around him. He yelled in surprise and anger, trying to cut himself free. That was when Kira appeared at the top of the stairs, her wings spread wide, glowing with blue-white light. She looked magnificent and terrifying. "You are trespassing," she said, her voice carrying that musical quality that made even threats sound beautiful. "Leave now, and you will not be harmed." The hunter laughed, still cutting at the net. "Big words for a refugee with a bounty on her head. Where is your human? We know someone lives here. We will deal with him after we—" He did not finish. Daeho stepped into the doorway behind him, rifle aimed at the hunter's back. "The human is right here," Daeho said calmly. "Drop your weapon." The hunter froze. He had not expected resistance. He had definitely not expected a human to be defending a Valari. "You are making a mistake," the hunter said. "Harboring a war criminal is—" "She is not a war criminal," Daeho interrupted. "She is a refugee. There is a difference." "The bounty does not care about differences." "But I do," Daeho said. "Now drop your weapon and call your partner. You are both leaving now." For a moment, it looked like the hunter might comply. Then his eyes flicked to something behind Daeho, and he smiled. Daeho realized his mistake a second too late. The second hunter had circled around and was now behind him, weapon raised. "Lower your rifle," the second hunter said, "or I drop you where you stand." Daeho's mind raced. This was exactly the kind of situation he used to train for. Two enemies, one in front, one behind, limited cover. He could take one down, but not before the other fired, and he was not wearing armor. One hit would be enough. "Don't do this," Kira said from the stairs. Her wings were glowing brighter now, almost painfully bright. "There is another way." "The only way is you come with us," the first hunter said, finally cutting himself free of the net. "The human can go back to his sad little life, and we collect our 50,000 credits." "No," Deho said simply. Then you die for nothing, the second hunter said. For an alien who would have killed your kind during the war without a second thought. You are wrong, Deho said. I am not dying for nothing. I am protecting my family. Family? The first hunter laughed. That thing is not your family. Yes, Deho said. She is. And in that moment, he realized it was true. Somewhere in the past weeks, Kira had become part of his family. She was not just a refugee he was helping. She was someone who mattered, someone worth protecting, someone who, along with his daughters, had given him back a reason to live. The second hunter's finger tightened on the trigger. Time seemed to slow. Then the world exploded with sound, not from the hunter's weapons, from all around them. The settlement alarm was blaring, and voices were shouting. Lights were moving through the forest, dozens of them. What is this? The first hunter demanded. Through the trees came Wanshik, leading a group of settlers. They were armed with whatever they had, farming tools and old hunting rifles and improvised weapons. Behind them came more people, easily 20 or 30 settlers. This, Wanshik said, slightly out of breath, is a community protecting one of its own. Deho stared in shock. How did you— Your daughters, Wanshik said with a kind smile. They told us everything, about Kira, about the hunters, about their father who was trying to face danger alone. Again, he stepped closer to the hunters. We do not allow bounty hunters to threaten peaceful refugees on our world. We voted. Kira has sanctuary here. The first hunter looked around at the armed settlers. Even if they were not professional fighters, there were too many. This is not legal. The bounty is worth nothing if you do not survive to collect it, Wanshik said. His voice was still kind, but there was steel underneath. Leave, now, and spread the word that New Haven does not welcome those who hunt refugees. The two hunters looked at each other. They were mercenaries, not idealists. They knew when a job had gone wrong. This is not over, the first hunter said. But he was already backing away, and his partner was following. They disappeared into the forest. The settlers waited, weapons ready, until the sensors showed the hunters were off the property and heading back toward their ship. Only then did everyone relax. Deho lowered his rifle, his hands shaking. Not from fear, but from the realization of what had just happened. The community he had avoided for years had come to save him. To save Kira, because his daughters had asked them to. Papa! Hana and Yuna burst out of the crowd and ran to him. He caught them, holding them tight. You were supposed to stay in town, he said, but there was no anger in his voice. We could not let you face them alone, Hana said. We told everyone about Kira, about how kind she is, about how she teaches us and helps us and makes us happy. And they came, Yuna added, because we are a community. That is what Wanshik said. Communities protect each other. Deho looked up at Wanshik. Thank you. I do not know what to say. Say you will stop hiding, Wanshik replied. Say you will let us be your friends. Say your daughters can go to school and play with other children. Say you will let us help you build a life here, not just survive. Deho felt tears on his face. He had spent so long building walls, so long hiding from everyone. But his daughters had torn those walls down with their simple kindness. They had shown him that the world was not just full of threats. It was also full of people who wanted to help, if only he would let them. Yes, he said. Yes to all of that. The settlers cheered. Someone brought out food and drinks, and what had been preparation for a fight turned into an impromptu celebration. Kira came down from the house, nervous at first, but the settlers welcomed her warmly. They asked about her wings, her people, her world, not with suspicion, but with genuine curiosity and kindness. As the evening went on, Deho stood on his porch watching the scene. His house, once so quiet and isolated, was full of laughter and conversation. His daughters were playing with other children, finally. Kira was teaching a group of fascinated settlers about Valari star navigation techniques. Wanshik was helping organize a proper welcome for Kira into the community. It was everything Daeho had been afraid of for years: connection, community, vulnerability, and it was beautiful. Kira found him on the porch later after most of the settlers had gone home. The moons were rising, painting everything silver. "Thank you," she said softly, "for protecting me, for risking everything." "Thank you," Daeho replied, "for reminding me that life is worth living, that the universe is not just full of darkness." "What will you do now?" Kira asked. "Now that the secret is out?" "Live," Daeho said simply. "Really live, not just survive. Let my daughters have friends, join the community, maybe even—" He paused, looking at Kira. "Maybe even build a new kind of family, one that includes everyone who matters." Kira's wings glowed softly. "I would like that. I would like that very much." They stood together in the moonlight, a human veteran and an alien refugee, both finding healing in the most unexpected place. Below them, in the valley, the lights of New Haven twinkled like earthbound stars. Somewhere in the universe, wars were still being fought. Old hatreds still burned. People still fled their homes, still carried scars, still struggled to find peace. But here, on this small frontier world, in this tiny community, something different was happening. Walls were coming down. Strangers were becoming family. And hope, that fragile thing that both Daeho and Kira had thought was lost forever, was beginning to bloom again. Hana and Yuna came running out, asking Kira to show them the constellation she had taught them about. She went with them, spreading her wings to point at the stars. Daeho watched them and smiled. He had spent so long trying to protect his daughters from the universe, but they had been the ones to teach him the most important lesson: that the universe, for all its dangers and darkness, was also full of wonder, full of possibility, full of chances for new beginnings. He had been a solitary human veteran, haunted by his past, isolated by his guilt, but his daughters had met a beautiful dragon woman with wings of starlight, and everything had changed. Not because the past had gone away, it never would. Not because the dangers had disappeared, they were still out there, but because they had found something stronger than fear. They had found connection. They had found community. They had found family in all its strange and beautiful forms. And that, Daeho realized as he joined his daughters and Kira under the stars, was worth everything. The war was over. A new life was beginning, and for the first time in years, Daeho was ready to live it.